So this meeting, oh, sorry, the recording just started. There we go. So this meeting is going to be about clear the shelter and prepping for it and just what to expect from that day, from this day coming up. Just to confirm, you're able to see my presentation, Megan, if you don't mind just answering that real quick.
Yep, you're
Yeah.
good. I see a thumbs up from Jim as well, and thumbs ups in the chat. So
Okay, that's perfect. All right, let me pull up my notes on this side. Okay, so I'm just gonna go over all the roles and what to expect and how to like get there, what to do when you get here. So for getting in and what to do, we're gonna ask all of our volunteers if we could please park on the street, starting at the employee entrance parking lot and not parking in the public parking lot at the front of the shelter, because we want to reserve this for the potential adopters that arrive. And when they adopt their dogs, we don't want them walking like along the asphalt or the sidewalks in the hot heat with the dogs, like touching their bare paws and burning them out there. So the shorter the walk, the better for the potential adopters. But just please park along the employee entrance parking lot, like along the street. For those that signed up to be there at 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. shifts or all day or however long you signed up, we ask that you be here no later than 9:30 to meet me in the volunteer lounge. I will have donuts for everyone. Um, I'll be doing a prep talk, giving you your supplies, all the stuff that you're going to need before going to your stations. I have a list of where everyone's going to be at, so please come report to me first, and I will tell you like what room you're going to be in. If you have a specific room you want to be in, also let me know about that too. You have until Friday. Other than that, then everything I have is set in stone, so on and so forth. But please, when after we're all done with our prep and setup, I'd like all of our volunteers to please be in their rooms no later than 9:50. And that little 10-minute gap between 9:50 and 10, you can use that time to introduce yourself to the room monitor and meet whoever else is going to be in that room and be ready to rock and roll when 10 o'clock hits and all the people start rolling in. For those that are signed up for later shifts and won't be here, like as soon as the event starts, when you get to the shelter, please come find me or Megan, but most likely just me because I'm going to have the list to find out where you are assigned, so you can get your vest and all your supplies if needed. Um, just to let you guys know, I will be there at 6:30 a.m. I'm going to be helping the kennel attendants clean and get everything prepared. So you guys we can make this as smooth as possible. Um, Lastly, if there's any issues on the floor, please call, text, or radio me. I will have a radio on me at all times. So if anything happens, just come grab me. If I'm not available or I don't respond, then ask your room monitor and then they can choose the next best course of action.
hey, Danielle, now that
Yeah.
we're done with this slide, Jim did have a really good question of will normal dog walking Fido Fitness volunteers still be able to do their dog walking shifts, example 8:30 to 10:30 a.m.?
So no, that one's going on a different side. So dog walking will be from 7 a.m. and the cutoff will be 9:30 a.m. because all the dogs need to be back in the shelter by 9:45, no later than then. So that way when people start coming in, they can see who they want, and so on and so forth. All right. Any other questions for this slide? If you want to raise your hand or type in the chat. All right, I'm not seeing anything, so I'm going to move on to the next one. Is that the next one? No, don't do that. Line monitors. Sorry. So line monitors, they will be wearing volunteer or the Wake County Animal Center shirts if possible, if you have one at home already. If you don't, I still have a couple, but only in certain sizes. So please email or call me or text me, whatever, and I may be able to provide one depending on what size it is. Or just wear something that is animal related. So the best of your ability. So line monitors will be outside for most of the time, but they're going to be here. So please be prepared. So if you need to wear sunscreen so you don't get sunburn, we will provide water. But if you want to bring your own, please do, and maybe sunglasses just to protect your eyes because you're going to be outside. It's going to be hot. Just forewarning. Please be safe out there. But we will be able to like switch out people as needed. Make sure, so line monitors, their jobs is to make sure the line is going smoothly and they're going to guide people so they're not in the way of animals coming in and out of the shelter. We don't want to like make a huge crowd, like a big gap, not a gap, but like a huge crowd piled up in one spot. It will be hard to know like who was first and who's next. It'll just make it a lot easier. So just guiding people, make sure they're in the correct places to make everyone's life easy. Um, you will also be instructing people before they come into the shelter. You're going to give them rules to clear the shelter and announce when animals are adopted. We will provide you with a bullhorn. So if someone's saying, I'm here to see a certain animal, you can let them know. You're going to have a master list and say, hey, like this animal's already gone. If you want to stay to look for another one, you can, but don't waste your time because the animal's already adopted. So that's going to be their job, just talking to people within the line and making sure they're here for a good reason. They're just not here waiting for an animal that's already gone. We will also have coloring books and crayons that you can pass out to families with children. Just a little fun thing that they can do in the line. I will provide that and I'll have a table outside for you to grab them. All right. I see there. Patty, you had a question? Oh, can you unmute yourself?
There you go.
Okay,
Can you hear me now?
yes.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah. Are the room monitors volunteers or kennel attendants?
I'm sorry?
The room monitors, I'm assuming they're volunteers and not kennel attendants.
So there was a change. I'm going to go over that in another slide, but room monitors, they are going to be strictly staff members. So it's going to be kennel attendants receiving texts, so on and so forth. So instead of being room monitors, I just switched the room monitors to being runners, but they still essentially do the same thing.
Okay.
And yeah, I'll go over that one and what they do.
Okay. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, of course. I'm gonna read the chat. Meryl had a question. It was about clear the shelter and buying a shirt. You can get a shirt online. You can wear those that day. That would be awesome. So if you have one yourself, you can also bring that for all the other people's. Kim also had a question. Are there room monitors? Are they also going to make sure once they pick their one dog, they go up front and do the paperwork? So like I said, the staff is going to be room monitors and volunteers. If they're going to be helping out, they're either going to be matchmakers or runners. So when a person picks out the animal that they want to adopt, they will go to the room monitor, let them know, hey, this person wants to adopt this animal. They'll give them the orange slip to go up front to do the adoption process. So the room monitors will be handing out the adoption slips. I'm going to go ahead and mute you back if you don't mind, Patty.
Okay, I had a quick question though. Can you hear me?
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, quick. I know. When someone's adopting a dog, can we write on the kennel card adopted? Because otherwise people will be coming in and we could have multiple people adopting the same pet dog potentially.
So for all the animals, we have these signs already pre-made on the kennel. Like if we know a person's going up there to adopt it, we're going to flip that sign over and say, hey, I'm in line right now adopting this animal, move on to the next one. And yes. And the runner's job is to make sure if they don't come back, like to come get the dog or the dog leaves and the dog's sign has been flipped for a while, to go up there and double check like, hey, are you still adopting this dog or did they just leave? And if they didn't adopt the dog and they left, then you can flip the sign back. Next person that wants to adopt them can adopt them.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you.
Right. Kim, you had a question?
Yeah, so I signed up to be room monitor all day. So if you're going to put me as a runner, if that's taking the dogs in the out of the kennel up front, a lot of these dogs I can't handle. They're too strong for me.
I believe you don't have to run them. You can have like another runner run them for you, or you could be a matchmaker.
Okay, so we're just,
yeah.
we'll still be in the rooms, like in a room with dogs, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Um,
okay, thank you.
So I assigned everyone their rooms, and how I assigned it is what you come here to volunteer for the most. So like say you came mainly for cuddling cats, then I assigned you to a cat room. So if you're just dogs, you're assigned in a dog room. And if
Okay,
you're
so if
mixed,
I'm
I
just
just
dogs, if I have any choice, I'd like to be in room B. You asked if we had a preference.
All right. I will write that down.
Yeah, and Kim, I think that's a really good point. But yeah, day of, like if anybody did not know that room monitors were staff only, because we actually didn't realize that like this year that it was going to be specifically um staff only, even though I think that was it in the past. That was like just me misremembering. So sorry for the confusion there, guys.
yeah.
But yeah, if you find out you know, that like you were a runner and you didn't realize it, or you're a matchmaker and you didn't realize it, and you're like, oh, I've never done that training, or I can't actually, you know, like run the dogs or anything like that, like definitely, you know, talk to Danielle, because like, you know, when we say set in stone, like it is, but it also isn't, you know, like if there's something that you can't do, like I'm sure there will be other ways to accommodate.
Yep. Yeah, like if there's something that you can't do, I'm more than happy to like put you in a different spot. I have like a list in front of me, so I know where things are needed. So just come talk to me. I'm happy to like put you wherever it's needed or wherever works for you. I am here to help. All right. But are there any other questions for the line monitors pre-slide? There we go.
And just chiming in too, another thing to keep in mind, guys, is Danielle is planning on covering like all the different roles. And so if you've got a question, definitely feel free to ask. But another thing you could do is like kind of have it prepped in the chat in case it doesn't get covered by one of the other roles too. So keep that in mind too.
Yes. Thank you. All right. I'm going to move on to the next slide. So the next one is front desk slash front door monitors. So they're going to be one and the same. So these guys are going to be wearing blue vest, and they're going to be in control of how many people we're letting into the building. We may have a door counter for them. It just depends on day of. We got to see how much supplies that we have. So I will talk to Ashley about that. But if you're a front door monitor, just let me know and I will find out for you. So what they will do, they're going to communicate with the other monitors in the kennels and all the rooms, staff members and volunteers, to make sure that everyone has like a decent amount of people in their room, like DE isn't just crowded with all the people and then all the other dog floors are just empty. So it's just a way to keep sure that we're not going to bombard one single room and no one else has anything, and keep more people from coming in and bombarding that one room. They will also instruct all of the people coming in the rules of the shelter. I will have a printout for the rules for the volunteers that's going to be doing the front desk, front door monitoring. So that way you can just like tell them as they come in, or if like you notice like, hey, you have food or drink, we can't have that on the adoption floor, just like stop them ahead of time. Just things to keep an eye on. They will also be assisting the front desk by handing out clipboards and pins to those in line that are waiting to adopt. And if they have any questions, you can help them answer them if you're able to. If not, then direct them to the front desk, like when they get up there, or to like radio me and ask me like, hey, do you know the answer to this question? But yeah, so nothing too crazy for front desk, front door monitors. Are there any questions for this specific role? All right, moving on to the next slide. The next one is the photo booth. So this will be right out front of the door. If you know where Megan's office is, it's like the outside part of her office, outside the window. There we go. So you will be wearing a volunteer or WCAC shirt. Like I said, please email, call, or text me, and I may be able to provide one for you. Just let me know. So we will have photo booth signs that says, I just adopted my fur baby, something cute like that for the adopters to take selfies, or like a volunteer can help take pictures with them, for them. So you're going to be there to help them take pictures, get the cutest pictures so they can go home with their new fur baby. It's going to be very adorable. That's going to be my favorite attraction. uh, so your other job is going to be keeping people moving so there's no traffic. So if there's someone that's trying to come out of the door with another animal, it's like, okay, like, hey, hold on a second. There's a dog over here that's in front of the door. Just making sure everyone's safe. And like if they're there for a really long time, like, hey, we need to keep moving so there's not like a big holdup in the lobby or in front of the front doors. I will also make some flyers that you can hand out to the people that are taking the photos or selfies, because I want them to send them to me. So we can hopefully put them on the official Facebook page. And like if they have good news stories, they can share it with me so I can tell you guys about all the animals that went home and how they're doing in their new home, so on and so forth. So that's it for this one. Nothing too crazy for this either. Any questions for this side? Also, I have not put in Better Impact that this was like a shift that you can sign up for. So if you are interested in this, please call, text, or email me so I can put you out there. I am also going to be like sending out an email boost to all of the photographer volunteers to see if they want to do it. All right. Any questions? Okay, moving on. So now we're going into
Danielle, real quick. There is somebody typing in the chat, so I just want to make sure that they have a chance to.
Okay. I will go check the chat real quick. I'm going to go back to the other slide though. The photo booth was a shift and Better Impact. It shouldn't have been because I didn't have one. That's weird. Anna, you have your hand raised if you want to go ahead and like let me know.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I mean, I actually signed up for that shift, I think like last weekend. And I just checked it today and it still said I was signed up for it. So it might just be a lag on my end, but it was showing up for me as a shift.
Weird. Maybe I just had it in this different place than the rest of the Clear the Shelter stuff. But okay, I'll go back and double check that. Thank you for letting me know. I will check that out. Thank you.
It's under a different area. It's under event support, adoption photo booth. Maybe that's the one.
Yes. Oh, weird. I thought I got rid of all the old stuff. Okay, then I'll go back. Maybe I won't send out a boost email. If there's people signed up for it, even better. Thank you. Thank you guys. All right. Jim had a question. What percent of the animals that are available for adoption have already been spayed/neutered so they can go home on Saturday? That one I really not sure. Do you know, Megan?
Jim, I don't know the percentage, but I did overhear Dr. McCain talking to Dr. Federico, and she claims that, with the exception of DE, we know for a fact, I believe that all four, oh my God, not four, sorry, all the boys in the building that are not in DE and not on stray hold will have been neutered before the event. I don't know about the female dogs. I know they were still trying to squeeze in a couple of female dogs each day now that we're getting super close to the event. But I know that she was pretty confident in claiming that all the boy dogs that are off of stray hold and not in DE will have been neutered by the event.
Will that be very plain or clear to the people in the particular dog rooms or cat rooms so that they can communicate to potential adopters?
It should be, yes. Once they do the surgeries, they're also updating their profiles in Shelter Buddy. And Danielle and I were talking about working with some volunteers the morning of to reprint every kennel card for dogs and cats so that we have their most up-to-date bio and their most up-to-date information on their kennel cards. So that way everybody knows like who's done and who's ready and who's off stray hold and who's everything.
Also, those that are spayed or neutered should also have a "I'm ready to go home today" sign too. So that should also be a fast identifier too.
Yes, we have a volunteer who's going to be working on that too. Thank you, Danielle. Yep. So they should also have a "I can go home today" tag. Absolutely.
Any other questions? All right, moving back on to the dog rooms. So for the dog rooms, so dog walking, like I said earlier, will start as early as 7 a.m. All dogs need to be back in the building no later than 9:45. So we need that is a very strict cutoff because by 10 o'clock, people are going to start rushing in. And when you see certain dogs, if they're not in their kennels, all chaos will break loose. But yes, 9:45 is the latest that they can be back in the building, not 9:46, 9:45. Fosters will be bringing in their animals to be adopted, and they must stay in the kennel with their animals. And we're asking them to wear their shirts, like their foster shirt. So if you see people in kennels with their dogs, that's why. You can also offer to switch out with them if they need a break, because they need to stay in the kennel with their dog the entire time until they get adopted. So just like let you guys know. As animals leave the room, please, if you can, help the KAs a little bit. If you can remove all the bowls and place them on a cart that I will have outside of the room or near like the staff door to get to the back part where the staff only is, then I will push it into the kitchen so we can get them cleaned, and it will just help the KAs tremendously. Just to let you guys know, I heard from Ashley today, I believe, no dogs in DE can be taken outside for matchmaking due to the parvo outbreak in that room. So DE will be open for Clear the Shelter. However, the dogs have to stay in that room. They cannot go outside at all. All right. Any questions about this slide? Oh, so those that are like turning in their
Yes,
fosters.
Lisa, I do have a question. I am bringing in my foster for adoption. So she will stay there. So does that mean that I don't have to stay in her kennel?
No, you don't have to stay in her kennel. It's mostly for the fosters that like kind of want to pick and choose who the animal is going to go home with. But we're trying to like stray away from that.
I'm sorry, I had my mute on. I did
Thank
not
you.
hear the answer.
Oh, you didn't hear?
No.
Oh, okay. So for fosters that are just going to leave the animals there to get adopted by any and everyone, if they wanted that pet, then they can go there in there. So no, if you're dropping your foster off, you do not have to stay in there. However, if the foster like wants to pick and choose, like, hey, I like want a certain type of person to come adopt this dog, then they'd have to stay in the kennel with their dog.
Okay.
All right, Patty.
Hi, yeah, I'm just looking at this last line about the dogs in DE. How are we going to manage it if someone wants to see a dog in DE and then they want to see a dog in one of the other rooms?
So it's fine for them to go in the kennel with the dog. Yeah, because all the high risk dogs left, and we were going to be deep cleaning the rooms multiple times up
Okay.
until, but they just can't go outside, unfortunately, just in case.
So what if they're in E though, and then they say, "Oh, I want to see Layla in B." Can they go to B and see Layla after they've been in E? It sounds like they can if they've deep cleaned them.
Yeah. Hey, Megan.
You see what I mean? Because I'll be a matchmaker, and I just want to know, where they're moving. If we can't take them to the yard, but they could go to another room, they could still maybe transmit it. I don't know.
Yeah, we can double check with Ashley the morning of to see what is, because things could change between now and then. But we'll double check with Ashley and we will get with any of the DE room monitors and matchmakers to see are they allowed to actually like visit with an animal in DE and then go into the rest of the
Yeah,
DA through DD rooms, or do they have to visit another dog first and DE dogs have to be last? Because that also might play into a factor of like the DC room and whether or not animals need to be visited in last there. So we'll try to get a game plan.
Okay.
But I don't even want to try to speculate right now. I know that kind of seems like a cop out, but I don't even want to speculate and have this on a recording like, well, Megan said XYZ
Yeah.
if on the day of it changes to ABC. So yeah, we'll just pep talk and let everybody know day of
Okay.
what the plan is because of both the URI and the parvo situations
Yeah.
recently.
But, you know, people are jumping from room to room, so that's, you know, they come in and say, I want to see 3 or 4 dogs, and they're different.
Yeah.
rooms, so.
Yeah, great question.
Mhm.
I just don't have a great answer. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. Yeah.
So
I
the,
have another question with regard to the parvo. And when somebody adopts one of those dogs, they're going to ask us, well, if that dog has been exposed to parvo and I adopt it, then what? Do we have information we can provide them with regard to, are we telling them that they need to quarantine?
We can definitely double check with Ashley on that too, but our understanding is that through the risk assessment that the vet team does, and I don't know enough, like I am ignorant to like veterinary medicine, so I don't know how they run the like risk assessment that they do, but the animals that are still in the building were so low risk that it was not urgent for them to get out of the building to be in any sort of quarantine. And so I think maybe the front desk might let people know that that was a thing that happened and to, definitely do more of a 333 rule and let them like decompress and don't be taking them everywhere, just like you would any other animal that's leaving the building that could potentially have like URI or anything like that. Um, but we can definitely double check with Ashley to see like what verbiage, if any, is being used. I think the no leaving the building is just like an extra precaution that we're taking to ensure that if somebody tests positive later, that they didn't walk all over the building. And so that's why we're going to double check about the actual visitors. But as far as I know, and Danielle, please correct me if I'm wrong, the dogs that remain in DE themselves are considered low/no risk of parvo right now. So that's why there's like some restrictions just in case, but then also not restrictions in other regards, which can be confusing. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we'll
and
figure that out day of too.
Okay, because I was also asking that question because if they've got a dog at home, that's going to change it. And so are we telling them that there is a potential parvo situation? Because I would rather have them find that out rather than go back and wait in line for an hour and then get up to the front and realize that they don't want to have their other dog exposed to this, and they're just not interested in having that equation or that uncertainty, and now they've wasted an hour or two and they have to go back to the floor to look for another dog. So 2 questions. 1, are we telling them anything? And 2, if you can find out later, what do we tell them?
Yeah. And we can definitely check with Ashley about that. The vet team won't be there over the weekend, but we can definitely check on both of those just to see because I agree. I mean, I feel like, especially if we are going to have to strategize as to like how people can visit and whether it has to be like, okay, A, B, and D visit first. And then if you're visiting someone in C, do it second. And if you're visiting anyone in E, it has to be last. But then it also has to do with the like the risk assessment, them already being set to low risk, them already having deep cleaned all the hallways and all the kennels and all the whatever, like whether or not the parvo situation is even necessarily a risk anymore because of the disinfectant and because of the et cetera. So I don't know. We'll just have to check.
Yeah, and that's fine that you don't know. If you could just put it up on Facebook to let us know, here's what you're going to say about parvo, here's what you're going to say about URI. and we'll leave it
Oh
at
yeah,
that.
it'll likely be day of. That we'll just kind of pep talk with everybody who's coming in, and especially like what role they're going to be in and what the situations are for both the URI and the parvo stuff. Absolutely.
Right.
I got a quick question.
Oh, hold up one second, Patty. Meryl's had her hand up for a minute, and I wanted
Oh,
to
no
go ahead and
problem.
let her get it.
Yep.
Sorry.
We're good. That's okay.
All right. Sorry. Go ahead, Meryl. Oh, are you still there?
There you go.
Meryl, just a heads up that your mic is showing as unmuted, but we can't hear you if you're talking. Feel free to try typing in the chat.
Oh, yes. So cat fosters will be bringing in their animals. They will be set up in the conference room, or if they just want to leave them there, then they will put them in kennels in the cat rooms. But they will mostly be in the conference room if fosters bring them in. All right. Go ahead, Patty.
Yeah, I was doing some matchmaking today, and I noticed that I wanted to make sure that I told the people to make sure that they use the hand sanitizer between dogs, because they're going from dog to dog, and people are really good about it. And I just told them, I said, well, we've had some upper respiratory infections or colds the dogs get, and it's very easy to transmit it if you don't wash your hands from dog to dog. And everybody's been great about it. But I think we really need to remind people, because they get excited about seeing the dogs, and sometimes they don't think about doing their hands.
Yes. We can definitely remind everyone. I'm going to have that be the jobs of the runners and the matchmakers in the room. Like, say, hey, make sure you're hand sanitizing. That'll also be one of the rules that I'm going to have one of the line monitors or the front door monitor, excuse me, let people know, like, hey, don't forget to make sure you're hand sanitizing in between each room.
Yeah, and I think it's good to tell them
Oh,
why. I think people don't know. They just think, oh, what's the problem? A dog's a dog. They don't think that they're going to get cold.
Mm-hmm. But yes, it is always good to let people know.
Yeah.
Great. Any other questions for this slide before I move to the next one? All right. So for cat rooms, I'm going to go further into each one. I'm just like doing general talk about for each room. So for cat rooms, there will be no cat cuddling shifts available during Clear the Shelter. This includes the morning before and like during the actual event. Just because the KAs are going to be in there, they're going to be trying to clean real quick, get done, and then move on to the next thing. So cat cuddling, it'll just be more in the way, unfortunately. Same thing like during the event, the rooms are going to be stuffed. There's no room for cat cuddling. For groups of kittens, I'm going to ask it to have a volunteer mark their ears with the last number of their microchip number to make it faster and easier for people to identify each cat. So that way you don't have to go back, grab the microchip scanner, scan each kitty just to figure out who's adopted, who's not, and which one you're looking at. So I was going to ask if I could have a volunteer do that for me on Friday or the morning of. That'd be amazing. Please call, text, or email me if you want to be that person, and I'll let everyone else know, like, hey, I have enough people, so on and so forth. And fosters will be bringing in their cats for adoptions. If they want to stay with their fosters, they will be located in the conference room. All right. Any questions for the cat rooms? Anyone typing? All right. I'm moving on to the next slide. So, like I was saying before, room monitors are now going to be called runners because the room monitors are going to be staff only. So, runners will be wearing red vests. They will be communicating between each section, They may be asked to fill in for the front desk line monitor, for the door monitors, and for the room monitors if needed. So you're going to be very versatile. You're going to be just jumping in where you're needed. They will also be assisting adopters by answering questions, giving directions, etc. If you don't have any answers to a question, please ask the matchmaker or a room monitor about that specific animal, and they can help you out. We will also be providing the runners with clipboards, pins, and a list of the animals available. And if we have enough, a radio will be provided as well. Any questions about the room monitors? Not room monitors, runners. Sorry. Did I have more stuff? So, moving on to the next one for matchmakers. So matchmakers will be wearing a lime or yellow vest. They will be assisting potential adopters with questions about specific animals and matching the needs of the animals with the potential adopter. They will be advising the room monitors when the person they are assisting that they are ready to adopt. So they can provide the person with the orange "I'm ready to adopt" card, so they can go up to the front and get in line, do the adoption process. They will also be provided with clipboards, pins, a list of animals available, and a radio if we have enough. They will stay in the rooms unless they're taking a dog outside for greeting, or if the room empties, then you can move on to another room or do extra tasks around the shelter if you'd like, or leave if you don't want to stay for the whole day, if your room empties. So matchmakers will stay specifically in the room unless they're going outside. So they will not be going to the, bringing dogs up to the front desk. Right? Any questions for matchmakers? Go ahead, Patty.
Me again. Hey, as I mentioned today, I will go ahead and make a spreadsheet, and I'll bring in a bunch of copies. What I'm going to do is alphabetical order, and I'll do things on it, like, you know, if they're good with dogs, or they're not good, or they go to play group, or they're whatever. I'll have a spreadsheet, and I'll pass it around to people who want one, because at least if they get asked, you know, is this dog good with cats or dogs or whatever, might help if someone's looking for a specific kind of animal, dog.
That's awesome. Again, thank you, Patty, for doing that, because that I know is going to take a lot of work and effort to put in.
It's getting there. I'll have it by Saturday.
I know, appreciate that, Patty. Great. Looking at the chat. So Lisa did send me an email earlier today about asking if we could have several bottles of hand sanitizers in each room. That one I'd have to talk to Ashley about to see if we have enough or if we have any single bottles of hand sanitizer. However, if like you have your own mini bottles that you have at home or something, you can bring like a little travel size hand sanitizers to help yourself out. But at the moment, just using the hand sanitizers that we provide. There are some in the rooms, each room, so you can use those instead of like running out to the hallway to use that one. If you need me to point them out for you, I will be more than happy to do so. Just let me know. If we are matchmaking but think a dog in another room is a good match for potential adopters, should we recommend they go to that room? Yes, you can recommend to go to that room. If you want to, I'm fine. If you want to like take that person to the next room to help them out in there, just go back to your original room when you're all done. And the point is to like get the animals out the best fit that they have. I probably suggest radioing the room that that animal is in, say, hey, is this dog still available, just in case like the dog is already gone or the animal's gone. All right, good deal. Any other questions? All right, I'm gonna move on to the next slide. Dog runners / matchmakers. So once again, dogs and DE cannot go outside. I just like really want to make sure everyone knows and like it doesn't happen because we don't want anything to happen if they go outside. But dog runners and matchmakers, they are allowed to take dogs outside to meet potential adopters. The play yard can be used, but when it does reach 90 degrees, the AstroTurf will be like 140 something degrees. It's going to be too hot to have them out there. So we're going to shut down use of the play yard. However, you can still take the dogs outside to meet the adopters in grassy areas once the play yard closes. Just please be mindful of those around you. Don't, like, if you see a person coming out or coming in with a dog, just please be mindful of it. Don't get too close to another person with a dog. Just make sure you're spread out. If you do use the play yard, please do not be in there for more than 5 minutes at a time. There's going to be a lot of people wanting to get out there with the animals and get out to use it. So please be courteous, please be fast. And if you need longer time to like spend outside with the animals so they can get to know them better, then please use the grassy areas. Like you can use the 5 minute max time limit for the play yard, but then after that, like please like go use a grassy area to meet with the animal. Continue that meet and greet. So there's the play yard will be first come, first serve. So if it's free and open, please feel free to use it as long as it's not 90 degrees or more. Otherwise, you're gonna have to like wait your turn or go to a grassy area. All right. Any questions about this one? All right. Let me check the chat. All right, I'm going to move on to the next slide. Oh, no, there is someone typing. I'm going to give them a minute to post a question and then I'll move on. Oh, Susan, you had a question?
Yeah, say we're a matchmaker and someone's ready to adopt, and you said we give the orange, I'm ready to adopt sign to the person, and then they go up to the front desk. And you said that we turn something over on the kennel. Is that correct?
Yes, so the room, sorry, was there more to the question? I'm sorry.
Well, a little bit. I thought you said that, but then say the animal is not ready to go home that day. How do we know that the adoption went through or not? Like, how do we know they went up there and pursued it or didn't find out that they didn't really want the animal? You know what I mean?
So there will be signs on every animal's kennel card that says I'm still available for adoption, but when it gets flipped over, it's the kennel jacket. We will flip that over and say I'm in line. Once they are adopted, either the dog or the animal leaves immediately, or they will put in, I believe they're going to put an I'm adopted slip in there if they still have to stay afterwards. Is that correct, Megan? Do you know?
Yeah, so just to highlight, so if somebody is like, I want to adopt Matilda the cat, then the room monitor is going to tell them, okay, here is an orange slip with Matilda's name and ID number on it. You need to immediately go to the front desk to adopt this animal. If you are not going to the front desk immediately to adopt this animal, you will not get this orange tag. And after about a half an hour, because we will have two of the front desk people making person IDs and making sure that the people have their information up to date in the system while they're waiting in line. And then three people from the front desk will be processing the actual adoptions. So within 15 to 20 minutes, that adoption should be done. If we know there's a long line, etc., we might extend that to a half an hour. But within a realistic amount of time, if no one has come back to get that cat or put a like I'm adopted tag into that kennel jacket or call back to that room to have the room monitor do that, then they're just going to take that like my person's in line tag down and just continue letting people interact with that animal and potentially adopt that animal. Also, we'll probably, check with the runners to see, can you go up and see if Matilda's person is still in line, etc. So no, Lisa, we have not covered all of that yet. We're just at the like dog runners / matchmakers part. Yes.
There's still another person that's typing in the chat, so I'm gonna like give them a second to put their question in as well. Mm,
And also just to let you guys know, we are going to cover like from the adopters perception, like how the whole thing will flow, just so you guys know at the end. And Danielle, if that was not part of the plan, I'm sorry. I can do it if you need me to.
no, that's fine. Alright. Um, oh, Jen, you had a question? Are you?
Hey, Jennifer, I tried to type it in the chat and it didn't work. I just had a, can you hear me? I just had a quick question. I'm new to volunteering and I've had a lot going on at home, so I haven't been able to do Fido Fitness and get more familiar. I did the training. Is there any, I looked at some of the slots earlier this week and I was just a little hesitant because I really didn't want to be like in the way where I wasn't going to be very helpful. Are there any slots left and any roles that, or even times where someone newer would be more or most helpful?
Yes. So I've been like keeping track of that. I've had like a lot of newer volunteers sign up for Clear the Shelter and they haven't done too much. So I'm doing my best to put them like in easier, smaller rooms with like people that have been here for a while. Just so like if they have any questions, then they can pair up with that person and be like, hey, like, can you let me know like answer to this question or so on and so forth. If it makes it any easier and you're like, I'm just not fully comfortable to be on the adoption floor right now, I do have some miscellaneous tasks around the shelter that can get done. We're gonna need help with doing laundry throughout the day. We need help doing dishes. And if you just want to be like on a line person, like helping doing the line monitoring, that one's super easy too. Just letting people know where to go and guiding them.
So should we sign up for a shift? I mean, is that a must, or should we come in and float for some of those other jobs? Because that I would be pretty helpful with, I think. You tell me what to do.
Uh, I preferred if people would sign up for a shift, but there's a couple people that are like, just throw me anywhere. I'm fine with that. Just email me that and I can like I could put you in an area that's like fits for you. So if you want to be a
Okay,
floater,
thanks.
just email me and I can help you
Yeah.
like find out where we can put you.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Great. Patty, you had a question?
Me and my questions. Hey, what I was thinking is that I'm going to be a matchmaker, and if one of the newer people, would like to kind of be with me and help me, that would be great. Because what happens, you get busy with one family, and you're in a kennel, and really we're not supposed to leave them, and then you want to see another, then you can help 2 or 3 people at the same time, bouncing back and forth, and it'd be really handy as a matchmaker to have somebody help, just to kind of stay with the people.
Mhm.
If we have
Um,
people, though, that depends on how many we have.
Yeah. I've been trying to match up the matchmakers um with like extra people in the room so they can have a little bit of extra help.
Okay.
Because they do know the animals more than the others or like know how to like read their signs and everything. So I have been trying to pair everyone up with like that.
They'll be
Thank
our
you.
matchmaking assistants.
Oh, what was that?
They'll be our matchmaker assistants.
Sure. That'd be perfect.
Yeah, and I think you guys are hitting the nail on the head too, that like the more people we have, of course, the more successful this event is going to be. So if you know anybody who, hasn't volunteered in a while or they're maybe hesitant about coming in, like D, C, and D, B, for example, we can have one person on each side of those dog rooms. In DE, in the past, we could have, one person in DE for literally each row. So like 4 matchmakers, in DE talking to people. In the cat rooms, we've got, I think, 1 room monitor per 2 cat rooms, but we could still have 4 matchmakers, for the cats. We don't just need 2 matchmakers for the cats. So if somebody shows up and they want to help, we will partner them up with somebody, or we will give them a quote unquote easier task, anything that they feel comfortable doing. Then we will find a place for them. Absolutely.
Yep. All right. Okay, if there's no more questions, I'm going to move on to the next slide. Oh, still have more for the dog runners and matchmakers. I'm sorry. So this is just like going over just a little bit more for the matchmaking and dog runners. So if there are multiple people waiting to meet one dog or a single kennel that's filled with like puppies, it is still first come, first serve, and we're going to do 1 person, 1 family at a time. So if there's 1 person that's been waiting to get in there, then they're going to be the first. And if another family pops up and they're like, oh, I want that other puppy, then they can go second. Or if it gets adopted, sorry, move on to the next animal. This will be in the instructions for the line monitors. But there is a strict limit of 1 dog or 2 cats allowed to be adopted per family. This is not an and, this is an or. So they cannot have the best of both worlds. They can't have 1 dog and 2 cats, unfortunately. So this means that we will not adopt a dog out to a mom and a dog to a dad, or to the adult kids or an uncle, etc., so on and so forth. To get around that rule, it's per address. So if they all live together, they get 1 dog, or they can get 2 cats. If we have a bonded pair of dogs or cats, then we will allow them to be adopted together. That's the only exception to that rule. When a person is ready to adopt an animal, report it to the room monitor. As I assign you to your rooms, I'll let you know like who the room monitor is. If you're newer and you don't know what the staff member looks like, I will point them out to you. I'll show them to you, introduce them to you, so on and so forth. All right. Questions about this part? Okay, I see you, Lisa. I will get you in E. All right. No questions so far. Okay, I'm moving on to the next slide. This is for cat runners / makers. If there are, same thing as the dogs, if there are multiple people waiting to meet 1 cat or a single kennel filled with kittens, it is still first come, first serve. So 1 person or family at a time. So don't let a group of people just be at 1 cat kennel messing with all the kitties. Just let 1 person at a time, tell them to move on to another cat until they're done, so on and so forth. Again, there's a strict limit of 2 cats allowed to be adopted per family. Again, it's going by address. It doesn't matter if they're mom, dad, whatever. When a person is ready to adopt, same thing, report it to the room monitor. I will introduce them to you, and they will give them the slip, and they can go adopt up front. A reminder to please make sure all customers use hand sanitizer in between each kennel. So we brought that up a lot, so let's like keep it going, let people know to the day of. Cats cannot be put on the floor or in a kennel with another cat. It's just basic rules that you guys know with cat cuddling. So we're going to keep it going for that day. If you see a person trying to put a cat on the floor, please tell them no, please don't do that. Put them back in the kennel. Groups of kittens will have their ears marked with the last number of their microchip number, and it'll make it easier and faster to identify each cat. Again, if you're able to help me out with that on Friday, that would be amazing. Any questions for this slide? Cats were super easy. Right, Susan, you had a question?
There is 1 PC cat in D, so I don't know if he'll still be on PC on Saturday or if y'all are going to take him out, or just so you know, there is 1 in there.
Got you.
Susan, I'm going to check on that right now just to see if there's any updates in Shelter Buddy. But yeah, we can always pep talk about that on Saturday too. Thanks for the reminder. And you said that's in CD?
Yes, there's actually, well, there's two, but one of them is going to rescue it, but so she's got an I'm adopted, but the other one beside of her is the little 9-month-old male. He's not named, but he's on PC. As of today, he was still on PC.
Gotcha. Yeah, we can definitely follow up on that and see what's happening with him. If he's going to stay on the floor and just no one's going to be allowed to pet him or like look at him, just look at his beauty, or keep moving on.
Oh,
Okay, thanks.
hey Susan, I actually just checked and he should come off PC tomorrow, but we'll
Oh,
double
that's
check.
great. That's
Yeah, so
great
he
for
should be
him. Yeah.
available for Clear the Shelter if he's still here.
Thank
Because
you.
there is a note that somebody has seen him since he was on the adoption floor and is interested in coming back once he's available tomorrow. So he might actually go home tomorrow, but if not, hopefully Saturday.
Yay.
Awesome. Speaking of, I meant to mention this earlier for updates. I don't know if you guys have noticed like the volunteers I have been in over the past couple of days. I did put up like a little board that has updates. We talked about it at our last mentor meeting. So it's just like a quick thing that I tried to put together. I've been updating it daily as needed. I will update the date at the top, like, hey, today I changed something. Just please read through it. When you first come in to volunteer, please look at the board. Right now, it is on top of the big cabinet where you find all the leashes, the martingale collars, and like the pins and things. It's over there, but I'm trying to have it hung up where I keep my extra treats in that large tan cabinet. As soon as I get a better board to put up there, that's what it'll be. Please check that every day. And all the questions that we asked today, I will update that Saturday morning. So as you come in, you can see it and just know what to expect from that day. Cool beans. Any questions for this slide before we move on? Oh, there was a chat. Oh, thanks, Don, for stopping by. I don't think he's here anymore. All right, then I'm gonna move on to the next one. All right, I believe this is my last slide. So like I was saying earlier, the extra tasks that we're gonna have around the shelter, if we can have extra help with this, it would be awesome. Throughout the day, we will need help doing laundry, washing dishes, and shutting down kennels as animals are being adopted and going to their new homes. So shutting down the kennels is just like helping the KAs clean them as they go, as long as like there's enough room and it's safe to do so with the customers in the room. If you want to help with these tasks instead of being in an actual room, like working with people and getting animals adopted or like running animals up and down, then let me know and I can like explain how to do it and direct you accordingly, because this will be a huge thing. And this is usually what keeps the staff after 6 o'clock. After we're all done, they're like just trying to catch up and clean the shelter so it's easier for the Sunday crew tomorrow. There was something else I was going to say about this task and I cannot remember, but in the meantime, is there any questions that I can answer about this one?
I don't have a question, but can I make a comment? Since
Yeah.
no one's jumped up yet with a question. Another thing to keep in mind, if anyone is going to be at Clear the Shelter, and I'll post this in the Facebook group, but if anybody is going to be there closer to like between like 4 p.m. and 6 p.m., WRAL will be coming out to do sorry, it's WWE WrestleMania in my house right now. If you guys can hear that, I'm sorry. My dogs are not attacking each other. They're just playing. But WRAL will be there to do a like post Clear the Shelter, like interview, get like our stats, get like the aftermath / success story that is the Clear the Shelter event. So if anyone is a longtime volunteer or even like a brand new bright-eyed bushy-tail volunteer who wants to be on the news, just let me know, because they love to talk to us, but they also love to talk to adopters and our volunteers. So if anyone is there around that time and is not shy about being on camera, please let me know, because they do love that type of stuff.
Most certainly will not be me. Nowhere near the cameras.
I have a quick question. This is Lisa.
Um, as dogs are leaving the kennels, I'm assuming that we're going to have dogs in the back that will come forward. Will will the monitors tell the KAs to clean a kennel, or how will they know, or is this even going to be done?
So all of our dogs that we have on the adoption floor are it. That's all that we have. Like the dogs that we have in the back, they're rescue or foster only, and we can't bring them to the adoption floor, unfortunately. However, we do have a receiving team. If someone by chance is like surrendering their animal or they found a stray and they brought it in, and if the animal is like really sweet and can go to the adoption floor, then they will bring them up and put them most likely in like DA through DD. Um, and they can still be adopted that day. They just won't be able to go home that day.
Another thing to keep in mind, just to chime in on that, is that even though there is a very slim chance that we could be bringing animals from the back, we will not be telling anybody from the public that that will be happening. We don't mean to be shady, but if people say like, "Oh, do you have any small dogs?" and we say like, "Oh, not right now, but we could put different animals out later today," people are just going to hang out and crowd and wait and like cause pandemonium if they think there's going to be a small dog or they think there's going to be a puppy. And so since the chance is so small that we will be moving new dogs out because everyone that we can possibly put out will already be put out, we don't even want to like put that idea in anybody's heads. So the official word is that everyone who can be out is out, and we will absolutely not put out new animals. And then if we happen to, then sorry, we did, but those families will already be gone.
Great. Thank you, Megan. Any other questions?
And I do apologize if that sounds like mean-spirited or cold-hearted, but we've learned from prior mistakes that people will just camp out and they will like fist fight like it's Black Friday at Walmart. So we want to make sure we are avoiding anything like that.
Great. Kim, you had a question?
Yes, when the kennels are empty and we help them clean, are we just cleaning with water or will we be cleaning with the chemicals that they use normally in the morning?
There is a special chemical that we use, like a cell. If anything, it will probably be them spraying down the kennels and scrubbing it. But if we could help like with getting out the bowls or like taking out toys and blankets and putting them in the laundry room and everything, that will
Okay.
be the most helpful to them.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll
Thank
be doing the heavy lifting.
Yeah. Anyone else? All right. You had a question, Patty?
Hey, what the heck? One more, right? No, why not? It's actually a comment. If you could please be sure that they have lots of blankets and towels in the utility rooms, particularly in E, because if the potential adopters have to go in the kennels, it's kind of nasty sometimes. And that way, at least we can give them a clean blanket or a couple of towels, so they can either sit down or certainly they're not walking in urine, because sometimes it can get pretty nasty if the dogs can't get outside, and I tend to use blankets and towels.
Yes, I can see about that.
It's usually okay, but I just figured
Yeah.
we're going to be pretty busy, and it'd be nice to be sure that we have lots of clean blankets and towels. So, somebody can go in there and they put one on the floor or on the dog bed and sit down and, really spend some time with the dog versus because we can't take them outside and eat. At least they can spend time in the kennel and it's not going to be quite so nasty.
I wouldn't mind doing that. However, that would just mean if we could have actual, like, a decent amount of help doing laundry and folding it and putting it away, that would be amazing because doing that's going to add a bunch of laundry too.
Well,
So,
that's true. Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. Definitely.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of like Danielle said. It's the laundry after the event, but also yes, if we could get anybody helping with laundry in the morning to ensure we do have enough laundry, because it might even be, we might not have enough just because of the soiled laundry from the morning that they're switching out. But yes, remind us, Patty, if we forget to ask,
Okay.
remind us day of, and we will see. And especially if anybody comes in, we'll try to remember to be like, hey, if you can keep that laundry going so that we have towels and stuff for people to kneel on, sit on, etc. Yeah, we can definitely try it.
Yeah. And well, particularly any if we can't take them out, that's what I'm thinking. The others, if we can go out, at least go out in the grass or whatever in the shade, that's not so bad. But when they're, if they're stuck in it's kind of hard to get them to bond with the dog if they have to stand up or, it's nasty sometimes.
I understand.
Okay, thank you.
Oh,
No
thank
more
you.
questions for me, I promise. Oh dear.
So I saw Meryl had her hand up first. It just went away. It was really quickly. Oh, is that your question in chat? To answer your question in chat, yes, all adoption fees will be waived for August 26th and that day only. So even new dogs that just came in, their adoption fees are waived. Great. Susan, you had a question?
Yes, if there's room, and there may not be, but right now there aren't that many cats. So there's like a few cats that are very, very shy or scared, and they're in the bottom kennels, so they tend to sit up on their shelf and no one sees them. So it would be helpful to get them up on the top kennels instead of the bottom kennels.
No thanks.
I don't mind mentioning that to the KAs.
I mean, I
Or-
can even do it that day. I can move them if there's room. I don't mind doing that. I just wanted to run it by somebody because it is hard for people, like especially elderly, even me, to get down there to get to them when they're on the bottom, especially when they're so shy and they need the interaction and they just get overlooked down there.
Got you. Yeah, definitely. I always feel bad for the bottom cats because it's so hard to see them sometimes too. As long as we have the space in top kennels, I can mention to them or ask the supervisor if they can ask the KAs to move bottom kennels to the top kennels if we have the space for it. Just to make it better for them and more likely for them to get adopted, easier for them to get adopted at least. And yeah, it's probably better if we do it the day before or something, so we don't have to clean the kennels the day of or anything extra. Alright. But thank you for that, Susan. Anyone else have any questions or suggestions?
One thing that I do want to say really quickly, just because I feel like this is on brand for me, but those of you who have never been to Clear the Shelter before, just so you know what to expect mass pandemonium and chaos. It will hopefully be controlled chaos. You will go home whether you were there for 2 hours or 10 hours. You will go home physically exhausted, but mentally and emotionally happy and satisfied and empowered and feel like you've changed the world for the animals in our care. And so day of, I myself would like to apologize for me or any volunteers or staff members that forget our pleases or our thank yous, or if we're just hey, that person needs to go to the bathroom, jump over there in CC so they can go pee. Hey, go over there, do that. Oh, hey, come over here. We need your help. If there is a little bit more chaos than you're used to, please know that that is typical for Clear the Shelter. And so I do want to say all of the pleases and thank yous that I possibly can right now, because day of, there's probably going to be a lot of pivoting and running over here and going over here and, helping over here. But it really is a wonderful, fantastic day. And any of our veteran volunteers who have done Clear the Shelter before, please feel free to chime in if I am somehow wrong in any of this. But I feel like it will be chaotic. You will be exhausted at the end, but you will be like on this like life-saving high. I don't know how else to explain it. So, yeah.
I agree with Megan. I've been to a few of them, and yes, it is very chaotic, and you do get exhausted, but it is a wonderful high to know that these dogs all get to go home.
Exactly. And Lisa, I see you have a question in the chat.
Yeah, so I'm
Do you
not
want
sure.
me, do you want me to state it?
Yes, please. I wasn't sure what you meant.
It's probably a stupid question. I probably know the answer to it, but will there be any special parking for volunteers, or do we have to walk a mile to get to the shelter? I just want to be prepared.
I know. Unfortunately, there is no special parking for the volunteers. We're just asking, like, if you guys could park along the street, like starting where the staff entrance is. If you don't know where it is, just let me know and I can like direct you, tell you where it's at. But like if we could park them on the street that way, you can like cut through the woods and go through like DE, like the back doors. If you know where that is, that's fine. If you need me to let you in, call, text me. I'll be there like in as fast as I can to like let you in the doors if it's locked.
Okay, thanks.
Absolutely. And like Danielle pointed out, if you get there early and you kind of get there first and you park near the staff entrance, you might be furthest from the actual entrance to the animal center, but you'll be super close to DE. So I feel like the walking distance is pretty much the same.
Yeah. All right. Well then, if no one else has any questions, Megan, did you want to go over the thing that you were talking about earlier? Because this was my last slide and I didn't think about going over the process.
Oh, yeah. So, just kind of like walking you guys through what should be expected for a visitor for Clear the Shelter. They're hopefully going to be able to park in our parking lot. If not, they'll be parking on the street closer to like heading down towards the end of the cul-de-sac since volunteers will be parking closer to the staff entrance. They will head up, hop in line. Friends of Wake County Animal Center will have a booth there where they will be talking to people about like the 333 rule and post-adoption stuff to just kind of like get people to understand that a lot of these animals are not turnkey when they go home, that they really should see the vet. They really should, give them decompression time and, et cetera. And also get them to know like who the Friends organization is and what they do and the niche that they have in the community. Then as they're in line further, they'll be talking to the volunteers who will be monitoring that front line, talking to them about what animal they're there to adopt, whether or not that animal is still available or the 3 animals that they were interested in were still available, etc. Just kind of schmoozing and keeping them entertained in line. And then as the door monitor is allowed to send in like 20 more people, 30 more people, they should be going in. By the time they go in the building, they should have also heard the rules from the people who are outside, talking to them about how we won't allow like, food and drink in the building, and we are hand sanitizing in between animals, and whatever the URI or parvo situation was. There will be a bullhorn, so the outside people that are monitoring that front line can be helpful in that regard. When they head in the building, the runners and the people that are indoors will be able to kind of best direct them to dogs or cats or small animals, etc. Ashley, who's one of our small animal people, said that if she's not helping anybody with small animals, she will also help direct traffic to remind people where the cats are and where the dogs are. Hopefully, they will visit with the animals of their choice. They will talk to the matchmakers for those animals. And if they say, I'm going to adopt Matilda the cat, who I like mentioned earlier, who's not a real cat, by the way. But if this family says, I'm going to adopt Matilda the cat, they talk to the room monitor. The room monitor will give them that slip of paper that has Matilda's name and her ID number and a time on it. And they will let the person know that, well, before they get the slip of paper, that person will say, okay, this is like a done deal. If Matilda's who you want, here's a slip of paper. You're going to get in line. Don't miss your chance. Don't get sidetracked. Go hop in that line. And then 2 front desk staff members will be entering people into the system. And if they're already in the system as a previous adopter, they'll make sure they aren't like a do not adopt, that there's no sort of flags on them in any way, and that we have their most up-to-date information. And then once they have passed the person barrier, they will go up to finalize the adoption, and the people who are assisting the front desk will run back that pink I'm adopted tag if the animal cannot go home, or they will go back and get the animal or radio for the matchmakers or room monitors to either bring up that animal or put that tag in. And then that animal will ideally leave. And even if they don't, people can still take a selfie at the selfie station to let people know that they did adopt, from us and had a great experience. I hope anyway that I covered everything, but that should really be, what it is for the potential adopter experience.
I have a quick question. This is Lisa. So how will people know if a particular dog might have already been adopted while they're standing in line?
Oh, sorry. So I was covering the like adopter's perspective, but like once that family, so using like Matilda the cat, for example, once that family says like, okay, we want Matilda, and the room monitor gives that person or family Matilda's information on a card, they are then going to immediately flip the kennel jacket, and on the back of that kennel jacket is a or maybe not flip it. I think they might hang a different sign over the kennel jacket, but either way, that kennel jacket will be blocked out. And it says like my adopter is in line for me. And the room monitor will not allow any other adoptions. And after about 15 minutes, if they notice that like Matilda hasn't left or hasn't gotten the pink I'm adopted tag, then they will send like the matchmaker, or they'll radio a runner, etc., a front desk volunteer to check on if Matilda's family is still in line. And if we can't find Matilda's family, then we'll take a backup family, and we'll let other people, we'll flip the kennel card back to available and let more people interact. I hope
Okay,
that kind of answered it.
Yes, it was perfect. So if I'm a matchmaker and I know that Matilda's card has been languishing, there's no adoption card in there, or she's not gone, I'm assuming I'm not going to have a radio. So who do I tell?
You might have a radio, or every room monitor will have a radio. And I think, Danielle, we did mention, and this might be something that happens, but my memory is foggy. Since everyone will have a dry erase marker, when they write like my person's in line, they might write like 155. And if you notice it's 2:15 and no one's come back yet, then you can say, oh, hey, David, I'm going to run up and check the line to see where Matilda's family is. Or you can ask David to radio, the front desk volunteers and say like, hey, front desk volunteers, is Matilda's family still in line? And in 3 minutes, if they say like, we can't find anybody waiting in line for Matilda, then then you guys can put her back as available.
Okay. I hope
it
that
runs pretty
happen.
smoothly.
Yeah, I just hope it doesn't happen.
It does happen occasionally, but it's pretty smooth. Like we don't send backup people into the line, but there have been some people that will wait to see if it falls through, etc. So, yep. Sorry, Dania. I feel like I'm just like answering everything.
You're fine. I'm totally fine with that. Kim, you had a question?
Yeah, so I think what she was asking maybe was the people that are standing in line, if they're waiting, let's say they're waiting for the dog Josh, and Josh gets adopted, isn't somebody going to radio the people outside that are helping saying, okay, that, and cross them off the list? If anybody's waiting for Josh, he's already been adopted.
Yes. So
Correct.
the people in the line will be listening to the radio, like this dog has been adopted, and they can mark them off. And if they can go on the bullhorn and be like, hey, Jim, the dog was adopted. If you were waiting for this dog,
Okay.
sorry, he's adopted.
And I don't know if we covered that for the door monitor, but I think that last year was a door monitor thing. Like as people were leaving, they'd say like, "Oh, who did you adopt?" And they'd say like, Buddy, and they'd say, "Oh, Buddy the dog," and they'd say yes, and they'd be like, "Awesome," and they'd cross it off the list, like the master list that we have. And or the front desk would like radio that person, and or radio if they hear on the radio like, oh, put a adoption slip in Buddy the dog, then they would know, okay, I'll cross off Buddy the dog, and they kind of keep that master list. There will be a table outside the front door for volunteers to sit at to help with line management as well as to have that master list.
Okay, so that what Kim was spot on that. Because people are probably going to go to the front. Wouldn't they go to the front if they had like choice 1, choice 2, choice 3? And how would they know until they get to the front of the line, I guess? That
Well,
choice 1.
You don't get choice 1, choice 2, choice 3. You get the animal that you want to get. And the second you say, I'm adopting Buddy the dog, and you talk to that room monitor and they give you Buddy the dog with his ID number and, the timestamp of like you going up there, and they flip the kennel jacket. So it says my person's in line. There is no one else in line for Buddy the dog because it's only
Okay,
you.
got
And then
it.
you get like your one choice. Yeah.
Got it. Thank you. Perfect.
Yeah. I hope that clears up any confusion because there won't be people in line that's like, I want Buddy, but if Buddy's already adopted, I want Matilda. And if Matilda's like, it'll just be like you found your pet. And yes, Kim, they do have
Yes.
to interact with the animal. Yep, just like any other
Yeah.
adoption policies. Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. And we know that at the point of contact that jacket is flipped now. So there's no backup.
Exactly. Yep.
Got it.
Yep. There's no backup. But then, like we mentioned earlier, if that person goes up in line at 1:55 and it's now 2:30.
Yeah. I'll cross that bridge when I get there.
And no worries, guys. I love these questions because it also, helps us think about like, even though this is like our 5th or 6th clear the shelter, like as an organization, it's only my second one and Danier's first one. And new ideas is how we innovate. So, by asking these questions and by seeing it, in action, there's always ways to improve later on too. So thank you.
Were there any other questions from anyone else? If there's nothing else, then I'm going to go ahead and close the meeting out for the night. Thank you guys all so much for coming in. There were amazing questions. I hope we were able to answer them to the best of our abilities. Thank you, Megan, for also being here and helping me answer like the tougher questions because like she said, this is my first clear the shelter on the actual adoption floor where the action is happening. So hopefully we got everything answered. Like I said, questions that we didn't have the answers to, I will put them up on the updates board that is going to be found in the volunteer lounge. If you don't know where it's at, just come grab me. I will be here early Saturday morning and I will point it out to you, or I'll just let you know the answers to the questions myself. Either one. If you have any other questions after this meeting, please feel free to text me, email me, call me, and I will add it to the recording as I send it out. I'm going to try to send this out by tomorrow, no later than like 12 tomorrow afternoon. But other than that, that's all. Before we go, Kim, you had a question?
Yeah, I think I just answered it for myself. So in the morning when we come at 7 to walk the dogs, we cannot take any of the dogs and out, correct?
No.
Okay.
All right. there's no other questions, then I will see you guys all, I'm assuming Saturday, if not sooner. And thank you again for coming.
Thank you, everyone.
Good
Thank you
night.
for having us.
Thank
Of
you.
course.